Page, there are 4 psychological constructs, or 4 pillars that are the 4 most important parts of psychological training, or the psychology of racing or performance. The first one is anxiety. Okay? So it's also been called arousal, but it's that nervousness that you get when you race. Anxiety can be good or bad. It can be facilitative. In other words, what he's saying is states of activation, readiness, and preparedness for competitive evaluation. The athlete is excited and anxious to perform. It can also be debilitative. States of pressure and stress created primarily because the athlete perceives that he or she does not possess the necessary resources to meet the demands of the competition. And that's really the most important part of that makes it negative. I'm not ready. I'm not physically ready. I'm not technically ready. I'm not ready to, I can't beat these people, our teammate, blah, 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 whatever sport you're going to look at. These anxiety causes a number of different things to happen in our bodies, both physically and mentally. And if you look down at the bottom, somatic anxiety, and I made a note here, and the note is that somatic anxiety should be high before a race, and it comes down once the race starts. So these are feelings of queasiness, physical uneasiness, tension in muscles, excessive sweating, increased heart rate, increased breathing rate, loss of pallor, and sickness. Now, in and of themselves, none of those are actually bad. What I always say is the difference between facilitative and debilitative is that the butterflies are in formation. Right? So if I can get the butterflies in formation, they're good things. If I can't, then they're not very good. The cognitive anxiety, and this is in your brain, is usually high 3 weeks out and should be low at the race before and during. And so these are feelings of apprehension, worry, self-doubt, agitation, loss of concentration, decreased self-confidence, decreased motivation, increased turmoil, fears, and general panic. So you should feel some of those physical symptoms before a race, and you should feel some of that cognitive anxiety long time before the race, but you shouldn't feel them right before or during the race. What coaches need to know what causes the positive, negative states of competitive anxiety for you. What's the cause of it? What causes and triggers are there? What are the normal consequences or effects on performance? What coping strategy, responses, and alternatives are in place, and what action steps can be taken. We'll discuss those as we go along. But the biggest way to deal with anxiety, the biggest way to take anxiety and make it positive versus negative, is to have a plan. Is to write out or think about a plan for your race. A plan for the pre-race, a plan for your warm-up, a plan for the race. Divide the race into various stages and segments, and then ski those segments according to your plan. If you do that, then at the end of the race, your evaluation is, how did I follow my plan? Because I'm going to ask you this question. If you make a plan that's right for you, what impediments are there for you to not be able to follow that plan? There's none, really. Shit happens, but part of a plan is coping strategies. But really, you can evaluate, you can be successful no matter what your finishing place is, if you say to yourself, how did I follow my plan? Did I follow my plan? Versus, I didn't follow my plan, or somebody beat me, or I didn't beat somebody I should have beaten. It's in the plan, because you cannot control anyone else in the race. You can't control whether they have a good race or a bad race. You can't control whether they ski out of their heads or not. All you can control is you. And the best way to control you is to have a plan. We talk about it all the time from pacing. We talk about, and this is what this planning is all about, pacing plans and what to think about. So there's really 3 or 4 things that you should be thinking about in a race. You should be thinking about your technique. You should be thinking about your pacing. You should be giving yourself some positive self-talk. You should be giving yourself an atta-girl or an atta-boy every once in a while. Boy, I did that one really well. And what you shouldn't be thinking about is, oh, there's a big hill coming. Ooh. Or, I hate this downhill. I know I'm going to fall. So you have a plan, and the object of every race is to follow the plan. So the next and most important one comes in a number of different ways. It's attentional control, concentration or focus. So attentional control is the ability to direct, control, and maintain the proper concentration at the appropriate time. So there are 4 kinds of attentional control. There's 4 states of attentional control. You can have broad external attention, where you're thinking, you're concentrating on what's outside you, you're seeing things around you. That's broad external. You can have narrow external, where you're just focused on the trail right in front of you and that's all that's there. You can have broad internal, where you are focused on all the things that are going on in your body. How are my toes feeling? How are my fingers feeling? What's my breathing like? And you can have very narrow internal, which is focusing down on one thing inside. And in cross-country ski racing, you should be moving your control of focus from narrow internal, from broad internal to narrow external. Me and my track, I got my little box that I'm skiing in, and that's where I am. And I'm thinking 15 feet in front of me, and I'm thinking about how my body feels, and I'm going back and forth between the two of those. And if you're really focused properly, you don't hear that person cheering. You don't know what other, you might have to go broad a few times, particularly to start, to see what's happening around you at a start or in the finish, just to focus on what other people are doing, but then you come back. And you need to be able to change your focus and control all the time. Concentration is the ability to control thought processes in such a way that allows the athlete to distinguish relevant from irrelevant performance cues, whether internal or external. So that's what concentration is being able to move that focus and to go to the right thing at the right time.